Okay, here's a great question. What are some of the things that can derail a settlement once a property is under contract? There's a lot of reasons, but let me give you the four big ones that I see, right? Number one, the biggest hurdle in the beginning is always the home inspection. And many times it is something that was totally preventable, right, by doing a pre-inspection. Because there are these latent hidden things that might be in the basement or in the attic, right? Or with the electrical, mechanical things in the home that freak buyers out. And so those things could be minimized if there's a pre-inspection on the front end. So home inspection items will derail a property once it's under contract. With the killer being, by the way, water in the basement, moisture in the basement freaks buyers out, right? Home inspectors go around the baseboard. They've got this little moisture reader and they're like prodding in the basement. This is if your house has a basement. And if there's a high level of moisture that's there, it's totally solvable, right? There's really easy ways to solve it, but it freaks buyers out, especially first-time home buyers. They're like, oh my God, the house is gonna flood, right? Everything can be fixed. Everything's fixable, right? But these are some of the things. So that inspection period is one of the big ones. So let's minimize that. The second biggest is the financing piece, right? That's a big one. Many times the buyer will present a pre-approval, right? And let me tell you, those pre-approvals are not really worth anything, right? They're worth very little. Because most of the time today, people go online, they'll enter in information, and then a letter will be generated saying, hey, based on the information you gave me, you're pre-approved. But now all the heavy research comes out where they're asking for K1s, past tax returns, updated financials, and that's when the rubber hits the road, and that's when things can go off the rails because the lender didn't do a lot of prep work on the front end because everybody was rushing. The listing agent didn't ask all the right questions of the buyer agent and of the buyer, right, to really, really understand, okay, have all the documents already been given to the lender? Have they pulled all the required documents that are needed, right? And if the answer is yes, great, right? If the answer is no, let me tell you, it's like you're flipping a coin. It's like a 50-50 at that point. Just because somebody has a great credit and they've reported a certain amount of income doesn't mean that they're actually going to get that loan. So that's the other place it will derail. It's that financing piece. So make sure that your listing agent is asking the buyer's agent and the buyer's lender all the right questions, right? The third area is the appraisal, where the appraised value comes in less than the actual offer price. And unless you have somebody that understands how to navigate that process, it could go off the rails really fast, right? And or the seller ends up reducing the price because the buyer has the leverage at that point, and just to kind of get the deal done. So it can rob equity if it's not handled for the seller correctly. And the fourth area that I see where a deal will totally derail is when there's unbeknownst liens to the seller, right? And those liens now make it so that the property is either upside down or the seller isn't going to have the equity that they thought they were going to have, right? And then there's just all sorts of chaos that ensues from there. But I'll give you an example. IRS liens, right, that are attached to the property. Sometimes you'll ask a seller, hey seller, how much do you own the house? And they'll give you the first lien and maybe the second lien that they owe, but they don't tell you about this outstanding judgment that they had from the IRS that they may or may not even know that a lien was attached to the house, right? And so getting the title work to, not the title or the contract, to the settlement company quickly so that they're pulling title to make sure that there are no issues there is critical. You don't want to find out about the stuff at the very end. Other ones are HOA issues and liens that are slapped on because of deferred HOA issues, right? I've seen that derail deals where, the seller built something that they weren't supposed to build. They didn't get approval from the HOA. Now all the documents come in and essentially the HOA docs say, hey, this is an unapproved modification to the home. And now there's some chaos that's there. And two great agents can hold that together and fix it. But sometimes both agents are just not equipped verbally, tactically, strategically, don't have the knowledge base to be able to do that, and it ensues in all sorts of chaos and trouble for the seller and for the buyer, right? So those are the areas that I find deals can normally go off the rails. There's many more, but those are the 4 big ones that I normally see. As always, if you have questions about how to win as a buyer or how to win as a seller, we're here to answer those questions, and make it a great day. Hit me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whichever your favorite form of communication is. Look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.